Welcome back to the Kyber Collective. I'm one of your three hosts, Flowers, and I'm joined by Sig and Annie. Today, we're tackling the topic of what makes Star Wars great.
Yeah!
I've been excited about this one because there are so many things I can talk about. It's why we're here, about why I enjoy Star Wars. So I thought I would start with the question of, what was your first experience with Star Wars, and how did this evolve over time? How did your interaction or your feelings evolve over time as you got into Star Wars?
I started out as a kid, like a couple of years old, watching the original three with my brother. And as the years went by, the prequels came out, I definitely went more Jedi, and he has definitely fallen to the Sith he loves.
It gets the best of us.
You lost him to the dark side.
I did. I lost him to the dark side. So yeah, it was definitely a me and him thing when we were growing up.
That's
and
really
then
cute.
Yeah, and then it just, I love not the sequels. I loved the prequels, and then the sequels have happened.
They're there.
They're there. And I've just been a lifelong Star Wars fan.
How about you, Sig?
So I'm positive that I watched some of the Star Wars films as a kid, but I have no memory of them. I think I might have watched A New Hope, and I think I watched at least one of the prequel films, but I don't remember them. I don't remember enjoying them either, because I was wrong. And so basically the first Star Wars film that I watched and remember is The Force Awakens. And then watched The Last Jedi, and I thought that they were fine. And then I watched The Mandalorian, and for some reason that is what started my whole descent into complete obsession.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it was because, Flowers, you got me onto The Mandalorian, and you pitched it, and you were like, it looks like it's not going to be cool, but actually it is, I think was basically your summary.
Yeah.
Because you know me well enough to know that I was not interested in a man in a metal suit shooting people. But actually in the end I was. But it got to the bit where Luke turns up at the end, and you'd had such a strong reaction to it.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and I knew everyone else had as well, but I didn't really know Luke Skywalker, and I was like, well, I guess I'd better go back and find out what all the fuss is about. And the fuss was real. The fuss was good. I would have been very fussed if I'd been attached to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that you decided to go on that journey after having seen him in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed The Last Jedi, sort of. I think I was a Star Trek fan, and I was already annoyed with J.J. Abrams for what he'd done to the Star Trek films.
The Star Trek films.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That he did those.
He did, and that was first. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. And I have to say about the Star Trek films, I kind of feel the same way about the Star Wars films that were made, in that they're perfectly okay and perfectly enjoyable science fiction films, but they do not embody what made the original ones great. So the new Star Trek films are fun films to watch if you want a good space adventure. Some of them are a lot of fun, but they're really terrible Star Trek films.
Yeah.
And I think that The Force Awakens similarly was not a great Star Wars film, but a really fun film to watch. So if you had no attachment to the property, I had a good time. And I didn't know enough about kind of the elements of the universe that were being undercut or broken, or I didn't understand what was sort of being promised with the character of Finn enough to be disappointed by what happens to him in The Last Jedi. And so I just didn't have enough context to find the things that I now find very frustrating about those films frustrating.
That's so interesting, because that's exactly how I feel about Star Trek, because the movies are the only thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I feel like as the movies, they're fine. If they're on TV, I'll watch them.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about the shows or the previous movies, so I'm sure that I would be just as annoyed.
Yeah, because I have a reverse story with Star Trek, because the those movies are the first Star Trek thing I had seen. And me and Sig were friends at that time. And I would be like, this is really enjoyable. And I could just see her die inside a little. Like, yes, yes, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. I can see her saying that. Yeah, that's yeah.
I know. And she was very like, I mean, she was wonderful. And but that goes to show they are enjoyable science fiction movies. But once I'd actually gotten into Star Trek and I'd seen the shows, I just felt complete betrayal in that, you know, it isn't really Star Trek that you see. And then similarly, like Sig said, the sequels just didn't feel like Star Wars in what was trying to be made homage to.
Yeah, it's a weird place to start. And then the Mandalorian, of course, I think it gets a lot of things right, conversely, in especially the set design and the aesthetics of all of it really felt like you were walking back onto the set of A New Hope or something.
Definitely.
It was beautiful.
It was. And it sparked some vague memory of having seen the original trilogy, one of the original trilogy movies at some point.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this feels a lot more like what I thought Star Wars was. You know, I have my gripes about everything because I'm a bit of a complainer, but there's a lot to enjoy in a lot of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually quite a nice starting point because it's, you know, it's modern, it's fresh. It was coming out as I was watching it, but also I think it does a better job of capturing what makes things like A New Hope lots of fun to watch. So what about you, Flowers? Where'd you start?
A long time ago in a galaxy not that far away. The year, I think it was 2002 when Attack of the Clones came out, if I'm not wrong. So what happened was me and my family didn't know Star Wars, didn't watch Star Wars. And when that movie came out, my dad came home from work and he was like, kids, I need you to watch this movie. It's so fun. It's so cool. Let's get in the car. Let's go watch this. I promise you'll enjoy it. So we went and watched it. And I just remember sitting there as a kid and just seeing this incredible universe and seeing, I mean, this is my first introduction to Star Wars was Attack of the Clones. And there's people have a lot of opinions on it, but as like a tiny 8-year-old and I'm seeing this universe for the first time, I'm seeing these characters and this concept of Jedi and lightsabers and this very unique plot on government. And as a little kid, that didn't make too much sense, but it was enough that I can follow it. Battling and then that duel in the arena, it was so cool. I was obsessed. Like, I made my mom get the Star Wars cereal from the grocery store. I would cut out like the picture with Obi-Wan and Anakin. And they had on the back trading cards of like Padme and Leia. And I was like, who are these people? Oh my God, there's more people? And then
there's a lot more people.
So like I think the name Episode 2 didn't really register until my sisters were like, hey, this movie is a part 2. Wait, there's more. So then we went and found The Phantom Menace. And I was like, oh, this is how it all began. And then it was my sister again who was like, wait. There's a 4, 5, 6 that came out in the 70s and 80s. And my mind was blown. So I'm watching 4, 5, and 6. And imagine having only seen like Attack of the Clones to really know Anakin and of course the Phantom Menace. And then you find out Darth Vader.
Oh man.
It's like the reverse reveal, I guess, because I was like, oh no, wait, what? Anakin? It was so terrible to find that out. And I was just like, in pins and needles when Revenge of the Sith was going to come out because I was like, oh, I know it's going to be bad. Oh, I don't want to see this. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to cry. And it was amazing. So I've been obsessed with the whole Star Wars universe since the prequels was my era, and I am so fond of them. And, you know, time went by. We had the sequel movies come out. You had like Rogue One and Solo come out. And I think it really wasn't until The Mandalorian came out that I really felt this connection back to Star Wars. Because I think there was some level of care in there that it felt like the universe again.
Yeah, there was definitely a level of care that just brought it all back. Definitely.
It did, yeah. And I think Sig mentioned it's like the set design and just the way it really felt like Star Wars. And then I watched the second season. I was back on my BS. I was back on like, oh, this is Star Wars. This is the thing that I loved as a kid. I love this universe. And then Luke Skywalker came back. Spoiler alert. We already talked about this. He came back in the end of season 2. And I was just screaming in my head, like, oh my God, what? Wait, what? I never thought I would see him again because, I mean, we know what happened with Luke in the sequels, and that character felt just spoiled for me in terms of how I felt he was done by the end of his run. So seeing him as the vision of hope again in The Mandalorian and somebody just out here to do good, it felt so amazing to see that come back. I felt like I was 8 years old again.
Yeah, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Like when his X-Wing flew up there and you were like, oh my God, that's not Luke, is it? It is? Oh my God, that's Luke.
I couldn't believe it.
Screaming. Yeah, I was like, no. And then like he takes his hood off and I was like, what the like it was like the craziest. I'm not even sure I've ever felt like that. I was not expecting it whatsoever.
No. I think that's why I felt like I felt I was, a kid again, because I had that wonder. Luke Skywalker is here? And I just remember just repeating. I was cuddled up with like a blanket on my sofa. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what? Wait, what? No.
And he was just mowing through those kids. And I'm just like, that's oh my God, that's Luke Skywalker. That's Anakin Skywalker's son right there. Holy shit.
I'm not ashamed to say that made me emotional. There were tears. I was shaking. I couldn't believe that my hero had come back.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
They went there. I hadn't expected it. But pretty much after that, I pestered Sig like, hey, you should watch this. And then the rest is history. Now we're here.
Yeah. I can never decide whether I got the better or the worst end of the deal, because like when I hear you guys talk about that moment, like it sounds so incredible to have something so amazing from your childhood come back in that way and get that moment of like, oh my God. But on the flip side, when I watched The Last Jedi, my childhood was not being crushed on screen.
I mean, that is really nice. That was terrible. That was pretty bad. And it was at Christmas too, I remember. Me and my brother about almost crying at the Christmas dinner table that year.
Oh, yeah. My family, we left the theater after that and we just didn't know what to do. We just kind of went back home and processed.
Yeah, so that happened.
Yeah.
That was Jake Skywalker. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure at some point we'll have a conversation properly about The Last Jedi and what we make of it. But I feel like the tone has been set.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, and we've tried so hard to give this movie a chance to and there's still good things that we'll say about it.
Yeah. I enjoyed it more than The Force Awakens, I think, actually, when I saw it originally. Certainly from a visual standpoint, but yeah, I think that I have some questions about the thematic and character choices that were made.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a later episode date.
Yeah.
We'll dive into it, a deep dive. But what about you, Annie? Tell me about your first experience and how, it transcended over time.
Well, I was definitely like a Star Wars fanatic for a really long time. And then, you just sort of like kind of phase out of it. Like I became a Marvel fanatic for several years. And then with The Mandalorian, The Mandalorian came out and I got way back on my Star Wars shit. And I still love Marvel, but I think Star Wars is pretty much life right now. And I was excited when the sequels came out. I went to see them at the midnight show every year that they came out, and I went to see Rogue One. I didn't go see Solo right away because I was still kind of upset after The Last Jedi. Again, we'll go through all of that at a later date. But I've since started to really like Solo. I feel like it's underappreciated a little bit. I'm really loving the Disney Plus shows. I love the Clone Wars. I've been loving the Clone Wars for years. I love Rebels. I know a lot of people are like, meh, Rebels, but
I've come to really appreciate and love Rebels too.
Me too. Like it's a really interesting show. But yeah, and a lot of the books. I remember when I was a kid, I read the Princess Leia book.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's Legends. Yeah, it's Legends now.
yeah, yeah. When I was a kid, I read the Jedi Quest books because that's what was coming out. I didn't read a lot of them because I couldn't get my hands on them, but I would find them in the library, and they were really, really fun, but also very, very upsetting.
Yeah.
Super depressing. Like the Jedi Apprentice and the Jedi Quest books are like so. I mean, I know that they need like some kind of conflict and stuff to happen, but I'm like, man,
It
what a
hurts.
crappy upbringing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would read those, and I had the Phantom Menace kids book. They had like a smaller little version. They had like pictures in it, and I also had the regular Phantom Menace book. And I would like look through the Phantom Menace like pictures inside this book, and I just remember staring at Padme a lot. Her as like Queen Amidala. Yeah, she was so. I mean, I'm gonna be really honest here. She used to scare me because her regalia is so intimidating. But like not in like but like not in a way that I was frightened of her. It was just like in awe and terror, kind of like respect. Like, okay, you're pretty amazing and scary. And then she's one of my most beloved characters now.
Yeah.
So, with all this that in mind, what about Star Wars connects with you? Why do we keep coming back to it?
For me, I mean, the reason that I didn't get into Star Wars earlier, I think part of it is like a territorial Trekkie versus Star Wars thing that I bought.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek is always sold as the like philosophical one, and Star Wars was just pew pew in space. And I thought that's what it was for a really long time until you sorted me out on that front. Because it is actually, I didn't appreciate the level of science fantasy, and I didn't appreciate the level of deep philosophical engagement that's present, specifically in the OT and the prequels, and by extension the Clone Wars, and what information we get there. There's a lot of really interesting thoughts about government, about, you know, our susceptibility to fascism and to dictatorship, about the difficulty and importance of doing the right thing, about how to make choices. And all of it's wrapped up in this like little found family bow. I mean, I guess there's a reason why there's constantly like the one adopted kid in every show that they put out now, is because that's like their bread and butter.
Yeah.
But there's so much more depth than I thought there was. And I think that's why we can sit here and be still talking about Star Wars, is because actually there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of depth, and there's a lot to unpack in there that I find really, really interesting.
Yeah. Annie?
Why do I keep coming back to it?
Yeah, what connects you to it?
Oh man, it's just been there my whole life. It feels like whenever they put out something new, it's just something else to connect to the bigger story. I've always wondered like what it would be like to come into Star Wars now as an adult. It has to seem so daunting, honestly. That's how I feel about Star Trek. I'm always like, I want to, where the hell would I start? Or like, you know, like listening to Grateful Dead, like, where do you start with, you know, just something that's just so big. But that's what I love about it. There's just so much to it. There's always something else you can read. You know, all of the comics are awesome, and there's all of these books, and it's just there's always something else to learn about this world.
Yeah, it's so rich, and it's like those are the kind of playgrounds I love the most, is when like there's an infinite number of stories you can tell in that kind of sandbox, and it is in some ways really intimidating to try and wrap your head around. Also the various like canons, like Legends canon versus canon versus it's a little bit intimate, but it means that there's so much there, so much that you can find that's amazing. And some of the books that I've read have actually been some of my favorite pieces of Star Wars that I've, you know, consumed.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, what connects me to Star Wars is it's a very understandable story of like, there's this very daunting thing that's happening, and sometimes it takes just one person to fix or help. But it's such a universal story, and the way it's done and the concepts that they put in it, and especially the lore and the mythology, is something that I find so entertaining and so fun to go through. So I think a lot of it, what brings me back, is just the storytelling and this undercurrent of trying to be good and trying to do good, and what is your position in the universe and how can that impact other people, and having a real world consequences.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that pinballs into a similar question of, why do you think Star Wars has had the longevity that it has and captures audiences the way it has? And overall, what makes it great? What makes Star Wars great?
So a small question then.
Yeah. I think at first it was just like something totally new. You know, like George Lucas and his crew, they were like inventing techniques for his movies, stuff that nobody's ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that like he was inspired from like other different, you know, like Flash Gordon and samurai movies.
Kurosawa.
Yes, thank
Mm-hmm.
you. But he put all of this together for something new and something like seriously like the hero's journey, like the ultimate hero's journey. He wanted to tell a really old story. I think he said before, like an ancient story,
Mm-hmm.
but in a new way, because there wasn't enough modern myths going around, and I think he was definitely successful in that.
I like this idea of wanting to create a fairy tale in a modern kind of way, and having a clear message of what you want to say in the story that you're telling. And I think George Lucas really excels in storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he has his faults and things that he can't do super wonderfully, but when it comes to the crux of it, I think that is the heart of Star Wars and why it can last as long as it does, and or as long as it has, and why you can keep going back to it and create new things. And it's such a big universe in there, and the core of the story is maintained, and different people take different things from it when they watch it. They don't always even agree with what George's message is, but it's something that's relatable and something that stands the test of time. And I think that's why people watch it.
Yeah.
He was such an amazing world builder. The world that he built was just very enticing. That's the kind of things that I love, really, is the world building. That's why I love Middle Earth so much. It's why I love the galaxy far, far away. It's why I love the MCU.
Yeah.
It's such great world building.
I think Tolkien is a really apt comparison, really, considering he's, I think, the other major figure that was attempting to do modern mythology explicitly. And I think that there is, when it's done right, there's a reason why those stories are timeless. There's something about that particular formula of story that we have been telling since the dawn of time that makes it the kind of story that you pick up and you want to retell. And I think that aspect of it is really important as well, that it is inspiring to make you want to retell this story and want to find out more about that world and inhabit that space. Yeah, I think, Annie, you hit the nail on the head about it being this kind of, that it is modern mythology. And it's, I think the choice of putting it in a science fantasy context as well is really transforming that ancient formula and making it, you know, extremely kind of modern, but then also setting it in this galaxy far, far away a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that, you know, it has this kind of timeless sense to it. I honestly think George Lucas is a visionary. I don't think that that's too big a word to apply to him, because
not at all.
The way that the kind of stories that he's choosing to tackle, the way that he tells stories, and the amount of it that's built around these very simple visual ideas underpinned by a really clear philosophical message that he wants to get across, and with great character work. I mean, you can critique the dialogue, and I think there are many places you should critique the dialogue. But the character work and the underpinning of the character arc is always, I think, relatable, timeless, and really well executed.
And extremely innovative. There's so much creativity in it. There's people, like, for example, people loved Boba Fett, but despite having absolutely no real story to him.
Yeah.
It's the intrigue, or like the gonk droid. I mean, he's such a silly little trash can, but I would die for him. They're so cute, and there's like little things even in there that you just pick up and get really fond over, and that's not an easy thing to grow to grow attachments for. So do we have any final thoughts on this Star Wars universe before I subject you to the lightning round?
I just want to shout out how good the Clone Wars is again. I feel like we didn't talk about it enough.
It's so good.
Especially I think movies are good. I think being able to serialize it for TV, and the amount that George Lucas is still very present in the Clone Wars and the kind of themes that the Clone Wars tackles, it works so well in a kind of serialized television. That arc of Anakin's gradual but inevitable fall is wonderful. We get to see so much more of the Jedi, and it fills in so many of the things that are, I think, a little bit unclear if all you do is watch the 3 films, or you have to read a lot more between the lines. And I really hope we get a lot more TV like that out of Star Wars.
Yeah, definitely agreed. You really, after watching the Clone Wars and then say watching Revenge of the Sith again, you really feel that weight of Order 66.
Yeah.
Whereas if you'd never watched Clone Wars, you just watched the movies, I mean, you still feel the weight, but oh my God, it's devastating.
Yeah.
It's expanding what's there. It's giving context of what happened. And I really am glad that they made the Clone Wars series. Because you watch from the beginning, as I watched it, it's like, okay, this is fun. Oh no. Oh, I see. Oh, it's just inevitable. The inevitability of it, the slow descent into it. You can't stop it. It's a train running straight off a cliff. There's no other direction it can go, and you just have to sit there and watch it unfold. And you wish you can tell them, hey, that this Chancellor is doing this. He's playing all of you. You really get a good idea of it. I think Revenge of the Sith was a really great movie, and the Clone Wars made it better.
Yeah. And I think the prequels are so packed that you can almost zoom in on any point in the prequels and have that much enrichment. There's so much packed into all these little lines that you could open it up and tell a whole story just to clarify kind of each individual moment in almost any of the prequel films.
Yeah, that's very true.
All right. Are we ready for the lightning round?
Yes.
Yep.
We're going to start with you, Annie. Name your top 3 favorite characters of all time in Star Wars.
Oh my God.
And remember, this is lightning, so you got to be quick on your feet here.
All right. First ones that come into my head are Obi-Wan Kenobi is number 1. Luke Skywalker and Qui-Gon Jinn. That's the first 3 that came into my head, man. So
that's it. That's your answer.
That must be it. I feel really bad. I have turned my back on all women. I don't have one woman in the lineup.
It's a tough question. I'm forcing you to pick 3. Yeah,
I know. I love all of this. I love all those characters. So,
Sig, same question.
Oh God, Ahsoka was the first one I thought of, and then I thought of about 10 at once. So I'm gonna go with Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Padme.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You've done women a little justice here, at least.
It's hard. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for taking up for the ladies.
That was impossible though, because I feel really guilty about leaving a lot of people out. I mean, my heart says Plo Koon.
He is so wonderful.
I got to stop before I just list all the characters.
It's all right. Again, this was a very evil question. It's only 3.
It was.
Mine was exactly the same as Annie's, because the first things I think of, okay, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon for sure. I think I would put Anakin in there. Anakin and Luke are kind of tied. I love both of their journeys.
Yeah.
So I'm actually very grateful, Sig, that you took one for the team in a way and listed at least 2 women.
Yeah.
And you guys can't see this, but Sig is looking absolutely despaired. Her head is in her hands.
You asked me to pick only 3.
Only 3.
I couldn't. I left out Luke. I left out Qui-Gon. I left out
alright.
Cocoon.
I know.
Deepa.
Mace Windu, Deepa.
Mace Windu. Didn't anyone from Rebels? Oh my God, Hera. Oh,
Hera. I know. I know, man. But it's a tough one, and it's meant to be difficult, and you're meant to feel terrible.
It hurt.
Yep.
Okay, next question. Sig.
Uh-huh.
Who would make a better spend the day? AKA, who would you spend the day with? And you must explain why they would be a better choice.
Ready.
Sheev, Palpatine, or Darth Maul?
At Maul, unquestionably. I would rather spend time with Maul. He's funnier. We're looking for Kenobi, which I find very relatable. He's got little chicken legs, and every time he walks anywhere, it cracks me up. I'm assuming this is after he's been cut in half.
Yeah.
I can be his new apprentice because he's very much on the hunt for one of those. He seemed like quite a nice old man too, so if he behaves himself, I reckon we'd have a lovely time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't see why not.
Sheev is also funny, but he's less funny than Maul.
That's true.
Maul is the correct answer.
Annie.
The same 2 people?
Same 2 people.
100% Maul.
Yeah.
I would make sure that he this is just for a day, right? But if I became his apprentice, I would make sure that he got his daily smoothie every day. Because I think maybe he's just hungry a lot of the time. That's why he's so angry and obsessive. I think he just needs a good green smoothie, I think he needs his nutrients.
Well, I have so many questions for him too that are really inappropriate. But does he eat? Because he's only got half a body. Where does the digestive system stop?
Good question.
I mean, the state of his teeth. I would recommend get some toothpaste, but I don't think he eats possibly.
Well, this is the thing. How? And does he poop?
Oh my God.
This is the question I would ask Maul.
He doesn't really have a booty anymore, so I don't know. He must have some type of filtrate in his
Yeah, I think Annie's right. I think we feed him a smoothie and just watch what happens.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a good way to figure it out. Just give him a daily smoothie,
Yeah. I would say Maul as well, but I feel like we should give Creamy Sheev.
Screw that guy. He sucks.
Well, okay, if we look at him as Palpatine, reasonably, he would probably take me to the theater. He might reveal his big plan. I can totally get to a level of brain space where it's head empty, no thoughts. So if I ever tried to poison his drink at dinner, I mean, he wouldn't see it coming.
Oh yeah, so you'd hang out with him so that you could poison him.
For sure.
That's cool.
That hadn't even occurred to me.
Yeah, so I will be strategically spending a day with Chancellor Palpatine, and we could get some we can get some work done.
It's definitely taking work for the team, man.
Yeah.
Man,
it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Otherwise, I would just love to see that old cockroach just talk about Kenobi all the time.
No, I want to, in Rebels, when Ezra's oh, how about we do this? You just push me with the Force over this cliff.
They did a trust fall.
That's what I want. I want Rebels era Maul because he had his peak.
Yes.
He's can he just get over your problems and be my apprentice so we could be best friends?
Oh, I love him so much.
Me too. Yep. All right, final question. This is for all the marbles. You can only save 2 in this list of people.
No.
Yes, you can only save 2. So who did I pick before? Annie?
Yeah.
So Sig.
No, I went last time. Annie went first. So it's Annie's turn again.
Okay, so Annie, you can only save 2 of these people. Who do you pick? Qui-Gon Jinn, Luke Skywalker, or Ahsoka Tano?
Why are you so mean?
You can only save 1?
You can only save 2. So one of these 3 people have to die.
Qui-Gon's can stay dead. He's got to be dead anyway, so he can teach everyone how to be a Force ghost before they die.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm.
So as much as I love him, and I do, and I wish he would have lived, because if he'd have lived, maybe Anakin wouldn't have fallen.
Yeah, so that's the tough question, isn't it?
Shit, that is a very tough question.
You've already locked in your answers. There is no going back.
No, yeah, it's true. I'm good.
So, Sig, the situation where Qui-Gon and Luke are alive and well, and Ahsoka is there too. Who do you send to their death?
Yeah, it's desperate, man. It's hard.
Well, okay. I might go with Qui-Gon as well, because Luke's presence suggests that Anakin has already made some choices. And it might be too late for Qui-Gon to intervene.
That's true. Or you could also think of it as like a Battlefront 2 situation.
No, don't confuse me. No, I've committed.
That's true. This is a very difficult question. But I probably would have picked the same. I probably would have gone with Qui-Gon, but just to spice things up, I think if we just blast Luke out of existence. Now you know I love him, but
you're mean.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm making the tough choices here. If he's not in the picture right now, and we're thinking about the universe, Qui-Gon can still make Luke happen if he's alive. So, and Ahsoka. I mean, she's a good positive.
This isn't fair, man.
Anakin's life.
You're using these loopholes, man. Like,
I'm more fascinated by Qui-Gon can make Luke happen.
Yeah.
What exactly are you anticipating him doing?
Well, I don't think that. See, I consider Luke and Leia's existence a fixed point in time that can't change. Mm-hmm. So what can change is how it happens. So I think if that's going to be something inevitable, I think Qui-Gon will be a good positive influence on how Anakin handles that entire situation. I think Revenge of the Sith would be completely retconned, if not completely altered.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have lived, I think everything would have gone much differently.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I have put you in very difficult positions. This was a very evil lightning round.
It was a little bit, yeah.
It was, but also I enjoy making you guys squirm. So
it definitely challenged me.
Yeah, that's what good friends do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, make sure to leave your own lightning round questions in the comments section.
Yes.
Please, yeah. What would your lightning round be here for these questions? All right, that is the end of the episode. Thanks for tuning into the Kyber Collective. If you like what you heard, please give us a like, and if you've got something to say, drop a comment below. Both of these help make us easier to find for other fans and are the best way you can support our work. If you'd like to keep up to date with our episodes, you can subscribe, and you can always talk to us on Twitter at Kyber Collective. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks, and until then, remember, the crystal is the heart of the blade, the heart is the crystal of the Jedi, and the Jedi is the crystal of the Force. The Force is the blade of the heart. All of us are entwined. The crystal, the blade, the Jedi. You are one. Sometimes it takes just one person to fix or help. I heard a little cat meow.
There you go.
The taco meow.
The taco meow.